Insurance. Everyone needs it, everyone talks about it, but everyone's scared about it. And today, this is Mark Trompeter, real estate agent and unofficial mayor of Jersey City, has been called lately. And we're going to talk about insurance. I have my friend, dear friend, Paula Keung. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right because
after all these years, you have always pronounced it right. But I say it fast, I go Keung, but you say it so proper.
Okay, well,
you're
thank
perfect.
you very much.
Mark, you're perfect.
Of course, there's lots of different insurance, but I hope we dive into the subject to make our listeners understand why it's necessary to have insurance these days.
There's so many different kinds, right?
Correct.
I mean, you work in real estate, and I do insurance. And we've got the home insurance, investment property insurance, condo insurance. We've got car, boat, motorcycle, life insurance. It's all very important. And then, of course, you have the renter's insurance, which isn't really important if you're renting an apartment and something were to happen in the apartment. That renter's insurance can cover you to go stay at a hotel, for instance.
Any hotel?
If the heat goes out.
Okay.
So
we can't stay at the plaza or something.
You cannot stay at the plaza, but if you did have a very high-end apartment like you seem to have here, it's a beautiful apartment here, you might, they basically look at what kind of apartment and lodgings you have, and then you can apply your loss of use on your renter's policy to go stay at a hotel that's in the comparable area, comparable lodgings, that kind of thing.
So a big question I do get, because we sell Trompeter real estate, we sell mostly in Hudson County, but we go everywhere in the state of New Jersey. But everyone is like, oh, flood insurance, it's important. So what is the new laws and the new topics that when clients call you about flood insurance?
Okay, so is flood insurance necessary for my property is the big question, right? Your mortgage guys and women that you work with will tell you that you only need a flood insurance if you are in a flood zone. And that is true. If you're in a flood zone, you need the flood insurance to qualify for your mortgage. The flood maps are drawn up by FEMA. There's flood maps for the entire country in Hudson County. In all the counties actually of New Jersey, they have changed over the course of the years. The last time they remapped would have been in 2021. And so a lot of the maps change in our area where, one house could have not been in a flood zone earlier and now they are. So you have seen this happen in Jersey City yourself, right?
Like I had a friend, he didn't even know he was in a flood zone because he bought the house in 1988.
And he has no mortgage, right?
Correct. So when the buyer came, the buyer was about to pull out because you're in a flood zone.
So basically, it's based on the map. You only need to buy the flood insurance if you are in a flood zone. However, you and I both know that when there is a flood, the flooding is not going to follow the map. Just because you're not in a flood zone, you need to buy the flood doesn't mean you may not be flooded. And 3 days of rain anywhere in New Jersey can flood the streets and flood your house.
Correct.
Flood insurance is never covered on an HOI, a homeowner's insurance policy. So I always encourage everybody who's buying homes, particularly in New Jersey, that you should consider a flood policy, even a small one, that may not cost very much.
Now, another question is, people always love to save money.
Yes.
Is it discounts if they buy flood insurance, home insurance, and
bundling.
even car, everything? Is it called bundling?
It's
I
called
think that's the
bundling.
word, right?
Yeah. Well, bundling is a good thing. There's always going to be some carriers that can bundle. Some of the bigger carriers. So my company, Goosehead, I own a franchise called Goosehead.
Okay, you hear the name, Goosehead. I love the name. So
Goosehead, yes,
I love it. So
we're a nationwide franchise. We're the biggest franchise in all of the country. And I'll say that the reason why it's good to work with a broker, a brokerage like mine, that has many other carriers, is that we can actually shop for you and bundle if it's possible. Some of those companies, National General, they'll all bundle because they have both products. Other companies who you may not hear of because they're only going direct to broker and you may not have access to it because you're the consumer and I'm the broker and they only work with brokers.
good to know.
So there's a lot of discounts out there. The point is that you want to work with somebody who can turn over every leaf, make sure that you can get your best savings, but balance that with really good coverage, right? So you kind of just want to make sure that you want to get the right coverage for the right price and hopefully get some savings, but let's remember to also protect your asset because that is your biggest asset, your home.
Right, I always say that. But now, is insurance different for different values of homes? If something was $500,000, it's different for $2 million, or is there a big difference in pricing on premiums and stuff like that?
The average buyer that you work with right over the years, that people want they want the best that they can get for their money. But insurance, remember, is only insuring the structure. So you're insuring the home, not the market value, and not the land.
That's another question I was going to ask you, and I'm happy you brought that up. So you're saying if you buy a house for $800,000 and something, God forbid, something happens, is it insured for the whole $800,000, or how does that work with insurance terms?
That's a question, right? And you always get that question because I'm spending lots of money on this home.
Right.
And the mortgage company really is the first one to say that.
Yeah.
The mortgage company is the one that's putting up the money for this.
Right.
And so remember that insurance is about the replacement cost of the home itself.
Okay.
Just the home, not the land, because that's market value and not market value, right? Because you could go into a hot area like Hudson County and you might be spending $1 million on an apartment that might only cost you $400 in Nutley.
Right.
But you're only insuring the that particular asset, not the market value.
Gotcha. And I work with a lot of investors, and they are trying to get the best deal possible.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, unfortunately, something has happened to that house previously. Claims or something. Does that affect the insurance on the property if something drastically happened at that house or something like that?
So that's a good question. I mean, a lot of times what you're really asking about is you're asking kind of about like how the premium has come about, right? So the premium takes into account a couple of things. Different carriers have different ways that they calculate their rate. If the home buyer is someone that has made a lot of claims in their past at their previous apartments, they're a claim maker. So that might affect your rate. If the home itself is very old, that might affect your rate. If the home has had lots of repeated severe losses, that might affect your rate, but sometimes it does not because it could be, it's not on the new buyer's shoulders, for instance. But if the repeated severe losses are because of the area, like the area is very prone to forest fires, or it's very prone to, it's in a valley where there's lots of, water issues, or it's right next to the river, and it's always overflowing. So that's something that's a severe repeated loss based on the area, and that will affect your rate.
Gotcha.
So it really kind of depends on a lot of things.
So before I, refer all my clients to you, they always ask, well, how much insurance should I get? What is adequate? And I say, listen, I don't know what to tell you. There's always a comfort level. Like, I don't think I need it, or my father says, I don't need it.
I love that. I love it when the father comes along and says, you don't need all that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the bottom line is, if you're going to spend all of your money into this home, whether it's a condo or a house or a two-family or an investment property or whatever it is that you're spending it on, you want to make sure that your asset is protected for whatever might happen. If you buy that house and it's going to take $500,000 to replace that entire house the way that you had it when you bought it, with the beautiful new architectural shingles on the roof and the gorgeous bay window and that beautiful new wood shingle on the side, you want to just make sure that you're fully replacing everything in that house for the value that it would cost to give you that same house.
Gotcha. But thank you for today. I really appreciate it. Happy that we had this discussion today. And if you want to hear more videos like this, please like this video and subscribe. If you need Paula, her name and information will be on this video so everyone could give her a call. Please give her a call. I'm not joking around. She's amazing. This is Mark Trompeter, unofficial mayor of Jersey City and great realtor around town.
Thanks, guys.